Hey you guys, Deban at wiwibloggs.com. Let's just get those intros out. Are you on Pinterest? You should be, and while you're at it, follow wiwibloggs on Pinterest. Now here's the tea. Have you guys read Sebastian Diaz's article on wiwibloggs.com? Basically announcing Australia's slayage at the Eurovision Song Contest. More to the point, Eurovision fan favourites Electric Field will be representing Australia at Eurovision 2024. Zaachariaha Fielding, Michael Ross, are you ready to talk about this? Let's do this! So, the song dropped, my heart is beating. This is one of those first reactions where I'm like, okay, I really have to hold back and not watch this. So the best way to not watch it is to watch it now with you guys. The song is called Milkali. I'm probably butchering that pronunciation. Okay, the official music video has also dropped, which is what we're watching, hitting play. Flesh tone. I'm ready.
What you gonna do in the real world, Mickey? What you gonna do when you see
You know what? And the Janet. I'm all about Janet Jackson, baby. Rolling in the deep. Michael's vocals are so on point here. Complementing the falsetto tones of Zaachariaha. Love it. United by music. I love the simplicity of this visual execution. Golden ratio, honey. 0.618. Look it up. Miss Jackson, if you're nasty. We are one. Hashtag. Oh. Give me soul, funk, electro, world music. Oh, love the simplicity of this, but at the same time elevated. One blood, yeah. You know what, in 2019, Electric Fields were nominated for a number of Australian Indigenous Music Awards. And you know what, you could argue and say that, oh, are they really playing to a niche audience? But no, I don't think they are. I think what they are doing, a bit like Beyonce going into country music and slaying with that, right? Current #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 with a country music song. What Electric Fields are doing is saying that, you know what? The Aboriginal culture has sounds, sights, scapes, heritage culture, and we are going to package it and release it as an art form. Therefore, 190 million listeners at Eurovision are going to hear Aboriginal music, celebrating world identity, united by music, hashtag we are one. They are going beyond the borders, right? Electric Fields have a really broad vision. Their identity goes beyond what they are, but actually what they're hoping for the future. So One Blood, One Milkali is about, it's really kind of executing that vision for a borderless world. So for a long time, the band's motto has been bypass the barriers, but I think that they're doing that. But beyond that, what they're also doing is platforming a global identity. What better way to do it than to introduce the Aboriginal languages to an audience of over 190 million people? What better way to do it than to collaborate with some of the greats like Jessica Marboy, who's been at Eurovision before, who's also Aboriginal, and the likes of Kino, Norwegian pop group. Let's collaborate, let's work together, let's break down barriers. In 2019, Electric Fields were nominated, actually they received a couple of nominations at the National Indigenous Music Awards, which is an a big Australian music competition. And I can almost guarantee you more nominations are going to flood in with this entry, because this addresses the point head on. Happy 2000 and whatever happens to be one of my, actually not just me, one of the Eurovision fan favorites of all time, even though it didn't actually make it to Eurovision. But that's the thing, right? It marks a point when the world got to know about Electric Fields through Australia Decides. And even though they didn't win, when Australia looks at its roster and says, okay, we're not doing Australia Decides anymore this year for whatever reason, but let's look at who's coming through the fields, who's coming through the ranks, through who's on our minds. And Electric Fields was a pretty obvious choice because, you know what? Michael Ross, Zaachariaha Fielding, that power duo is on point. So the other thing to note here is that Zaachariaha Fielding is actually an artist, a renowned artist that has exhibited paintings and sculpture and other forms of art expression on a national level. So you're combining the visual aesthetics of his capabilities with his vocal power. And Michael Ross is an accomplished singer, songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, plays the piano. Babe, this is a merger of two solid forces. And, you know, they self-compose, they self-execute, and both their vocals are on this track. I'm completely in love. Yes, compared to Happy 2000 and whatever, this probably feels weaker, but at the same time, the message here is more obvious and it's a lot stronger. That kiss in that music video, that just elevated everything. There was just so much beauty stemming from that. You know, I really like this. And there's a confidence that comes from this too. You know, I tell you what, 3 minutes of just full frontal camera work, half naked, is actually not easy. A lot of the videos you see, including reaction videos, are heavily edited. And they're just like boom, boom, front and center, can't escape. But there was so much beauty. Oh, I loved it when Michael put his head on Zaacharia's shoulder. It was just like a really warm moment. There was so much affection and a bit of nudity, but I'm not getting sexual here, right? I'm just getting warmth, embrace, consolation, comfort. This is absolutely beautiful. Okay, so here's the tea. Sebastian Diaz wrote an article on wiwibloggs.com about Electric Fields kind of flaming the torch for Australia. Those were not his words, but they're mine. flaming the torch for Australia, and the excitement is palpable. On the 30th of January, the semi-final allocation was drawn, right? So no tea here. This was done way, way back. Australia opened the second half of the first semi-final. So I'll just tell you what other countries are going to be in this semi-final. So it kicks off with Croatia, then Cyprus, Ireland, Lithuania, Poland, Serbia, and Ukraine. Then the second half, Australia opens that up. Azerbaijan is next. Finland, Iceland, Luxembourg, Moldova, Portugal, and Slovenia. Whilst I've never been the diva with a crystal ball trying to figure out who's making it through and who's not, what I can say with confidence is that this is a really strong entry. And to be fair, Australia can stage really amazingly well, right? So if you think about Kate Milkali on the Zero Gravity, which by the way beat Electric Fields in 2019, that was epic staging. Also, the staging of, actually, there's quite a few now. Dami was also really tasteful. This will be tasteful, and this will incorporate very traditional Aboriginal elements in it. So there was a referendum in Australia recently that I believe it was on the 14th of October last year, and the proposal was to give Aboriginals a voice in the Constitution. And this proposal was put forward to the people, and there was an overwhelming rejection of that. I believe ACT, the Australian Capital Territory, Canberra, was the only one that voted in favour of this referendum. Well, here's the thing. You cannot silence the people, and the people will speak, and we are one blood. We are one Milkali. This song, whilst not being political, is actually giving a voice, and it's giving a voice to the Aboriginal people, and it's giving a voice in a very non-threatening way, in a way that says, let's hold hands and just fight for, well, let's hold hands and resist silence. How about that? Let our voices be heard, and that's what this does. I think there's so much beauty and there's such a wonderful sentiment to this. But at wiwibloggs, we don't think in silos. So I'm going to jump on wiwibloggs.com and I'm going to pull out a few readers' comments. Our readers are very vocal. They always have a lot to say. And I'm quite keen to know where this is going. Okay. Let me see. Starting with... Okay, so Claude, a Wiwi reader, says, yes! Finally, a First Nations language debut. I'm so proud of my country for selecting this. Jaguar Jones would have been amazing too, but I know that even though the song structure is unadventurous, the live performance will definitely defy expectations. Good luck, Electric Fields. I say good luck, Electric Fields too. One of the benefits of Electric Fields performing in their semi-final is that they get the likes of, well, fans from Germany, United Kingdom, and Sweden voting. And these countries are used to experimental sounds. It would have been good if France was here because, you know, France loves their world music. But, you know, the UK is starting to see a shift as well in terms of sounds. Lots of Afro beats have been featured in the charts. You know, Germany has always been quite, you know, experimental. They've got several world music type festivals in there. And Sweden generally just do great electronica and great pop. And this also has a very 80s appeal. Okay, moving on to other comments. Joe says, it feels organic and genuine, but not very strong. Semi-final one is tough. Semi-final one is tough, yes, I agree, but you still need 10 countries to advance from semi-final one. In a country, in an edition of Eurovision where only 37 countries are actually participating. At this point, Australia does not feel left out to me. But that's just me, right? That is me. And I think I'm right. Okay. I'm So Fab says, this is the most Australian song that Australia has sent to Eurovision. I'm sure Australia will give us a great performance in May. Yeah, they will give us a great performance. I mean, Happy 2000 and whatever was, I'd known of Electric Fields a little bit before then, and Happy 2000 and Forever kind of cemented my fandom, if you say, you know, for their music and for their art, and they are very compelling live performers. Let's just say that. Anna, A-N-A, says, not bad actually. It's not mind-blowing, but I like these kind of songs, and I'm so happy that it's not another novelty entry. You know what? I think it's quite novel. It's the first time you've had Aboriginal languages, the first time you've had a didgeridoo on a track, and I think there's a novelty factor here. But novelty does not mean gimmickry, right? This is a decent track. And this is a track that you'll hear on the radio. Actually, this feels more radio friendly than Happy 2000 and whatever. But it's not a bad thing if you're being compared to what you've already put out, right? It means that you can only be compared to yourself, to your own work. And hopefully on the road to Malmö in May, we'll also be listening to Happy 2000 and whatever. Okay, let me pick up a couple more points. Atlantic says, I like it in my top 5 with Belgium, UK, France, and Switzerland. Greetings from Norway. Well, I'm happy that Norway knows that Norway cannot vote for itself. All right, let me pick up one more. Hector says, I'm glad to finally have them in Eurovision, but to be honest, they deserve to be here with a better song. 2000 and whatever was iconic and should have won back then over Kate. I'm not sure if this is enough to reach the grand final from that semi-final. Unless Hector has a crystal ball, let us reserve our comments for later. Music Makeup says, love it. I think I loved even more 2000 and whatever because it had more of an ethnic beat. This one is more pop. The stage potential is real though, and I'm excited to see what the result will be. Let's pause it right there. I'm also excited to see what the result will be. I think this is gonna be, fabulous. That music video is so tasteful. It's kind of one of those where you don't get distracted. It's full focus, right? You're just transfixed looking at them. 3 minutes straight, and a part of me wants to press repeat. Zaachariaha Fielding is so gorgeous. I love that sort of leaning femme identity. It's just androgynous and beautiful and melanin. I'm all about it. And Michael Ross as well, a different kind of feminine energy, but so warm and so charismatic and just so... They both draw you in a way that says, hey, join the party. And I hope that party continues on Pinterest. I do want to see their mood boards as individuals and as this duo from Adelaide. Honey! I've always wanted to visit Adelaide. I did live in Australia for a bit. Yes. I did an international placement in Australia many moons ago when I was a student. And I actually lived in Northern Territory, which, I mean, Darwin just has lots of First Nation people, and oh, it was great. It was great. It was such a moment in time for me. And whilst the music I was sort of exposed to wasn't quite Electric Fields at the time, I believe Savage Garden was ruling the charts, and who else did we have in, is Hilary Duff Australian? Certainly Delta Goodrem is. Who else? No, maybe Hilary Duff. Oh my God, this is so bad. This is tragic. Whoever is editing this had better edit that out. Okay, so yeah. But yeah, Australia, wonderful, fond memories. And of course, I have lots of Australian friends, and Tim Tams never go, I mean, always in that cupboard for those emergency snacks. Yeah, and when Australia came into Eurovision in 2014 with Jessica Malboy, giving us that little soft intro. We're not competing, but we'll show you our heritage and our music and our culture. I was all about it. And they're now a firm part of the Eurovision discussion, almost always qualifying, and not just qualifying, comfortably doing well. I'm all about it. Okay. Follow wiwibloggs on Pinterest. Yours truly is Deban Adorami. I'm Deban Adorami on Twitter, which is now called X. That in itself is another discussion point. Instagram and Deban_Deban, and wiwibloggs is solidly on Pinterest. Okay, you guys. Oh, electric fields. I need to leave you guys so I can press repeat on this. We'll see you later.